Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the latest instalment of our mini webinar series, How to Tag Records in Collection Search, the online catalogue of the New South Wales State Archives. One of the new features that became available when we introduced the new collection search in the middle of last year was the ability for members of the public to tag records in the catalogue and to search on those tags. At this point, some of you may be asking, what is a tag and what would I use it for? So a tag is a word or phrase that can be used to describe records in the catalogue. And you can apply it to records to draw together records from a range of different sources that are on the same subject area. So for example, if you have an interest in researching what happened to everyone who arrived in the colony of New South Wales on a particular ship, you can tag up all the records relating to those people with the name of the ship and the year of arrival, and then you're able to do a search and pull all those records together. And even better, because that's probably quite a large task, you're able to get a group of people working together to apply that tag to records, and that way you can all share your resources and everything that you're learning together. Probably the best way to demonstrate what a tag is and how it works is to show you an example of a tag in the catalogue. So today I'm starting out on the New South Wales State Archives homepage, and you can see up at the top left of screen, the URL for that is records.nsw.gov.au. And I'm just going to enter a search for a record that I know is already tagged. And this record is a portrait photograph of W.C. Smith. And W.C. Smith was a member of the Sydney Harbour Trust staff who was killed in action during World War I. Now, the Sydney Harbour Trust collected a number of photos of their employees who were killed in action during World War I, and that's come down to the State Archives for its management and care. If we have a look at this record, we can see as we progress down to the bottom of the screen here, there's a header called tags. And if we look in that section, you can see that there are 5 tags that have been applied to this record. So the first tag, AIF, has the number 32 next to it. And that is telling you that there are 32 records in the catalogue that have been attached to that tag. The second tag, military uniform, has 49 records attached to it. And if I click on that tag, it will take me to the full list of all 49 records that have been attached to the tag. If I take a look at the filter on the right-hand side of the page here, I can see that 49 out of the records in this series are digitally available. So that's telling me in this tag, so that's telling me that all 49 of those records are available, and also that they come from 2 series. So the first series is one that we were just looking at with the record of W.C. Smith, NRS 20231, photographs of Sydney Harbour Trust staff killed in action in World War I. And the second series is NRS 9873, photographs of doctors. So from 1888 onwards, doctors who wished to become medical practitioners in the state of New South Wales were required to submit photographs with their applications. And as you can see, a number of them submitted photographs in military uniform, and someone has gone through and tagged these, which is fantastic because there'd be no other way to search the catalogue to find these photographs in military uniform unless that tag had been applied. If I'd like to take a look at other records that have been tagged and search tags that have been applied by other people, I go up to the top of the screen in the black bar and I click on the word tags. This takes me to the tag screen, and as you can see, it lists the most popular tags as well as recently added tags. And the one important thing to note about tags is once you add a tag to a record, it is public and everyone can see it. So you can see that those 5 tags we were just looking at in the record of W.C. Smith are all listed here amongst the most popular. The next tag down is a tag for railway women. And when I click on that, I can see that someone has been going through and tagging the railway personal history cards for all female employees. So that list is in its very early stages. There are only 27 results attached so far, but hopefully that continues. And if it does, it will be a fantastic resource. Some tags are a little bit more humorous than others. So for example, we have a tag here called mustache. And when I click on it, I can see that it's a tag of some of the truly wonderful mustaches that are featured in photographs of the State Archives collection. So some very impressive examples there. Another interesting thing when I look at the filters on the sidebar is that I can see that these tagged photographs have come from 2 different series. So one is NRS 9873 photographs of doctors, which we were discussing earlier, and the others are the jail photographs of prisoners. So quite an interesting contrast there. Now, if I would like to search on a tag that has been entered by someone else, I go back to the tag screen by clicking on tags up at the top of the screen in the black bar, and I type in a phrase or a word. So in this instance, I've searched for tree, and I've found that there are a number of tags that have been created that relate to trees. So clearly someone with an interest in trees. And now, so if I want to add a tag to a record of my own, I firstly need to sign into Collection Search. So you can see when you first arrive on the main catalogue page, you get this yellow banner across the top of the screen, which says sign in to get access to saved searches and tag records. So I click on the sign in button. I can click on the sign in button there. However, one thing about this banner is that it lets you dismiss it. So if I've been in the catalogue for a while, it's quite likely that that banner will no longer be there because I will have clicked it away. However, I can still sign in from the top right up here at the top of the screen. I just click on sign in and you will see that it takes me to a sign in for my account. And I have created an account previously. One thing I should note is that this account is specific to the Collection Search catalogue only. So if you've had interactions with New South Wales State Archives in the past, perhaps you have a reader's ticket with us, or perhaps you've signed up to subscribe to our newsletter now and then, this account is completely different to that, and you will need to create a new account. So if I'm totally new to Collection Search and I would like to create a new account, all I do is go to the bottom of the sign up screen here, the sign in screen, and click sign up. This takes me through to a screen where I'll be asked to supply my email address and password. Once I click continue, I'll be logged into the system and I'll also be sent a verification email. And it's as straightforward as that. However, today I've already created an account, so I will just sign back in and it will take me to the catalogue. So as I mentioned earlier, one of the great things about tags is they can be used to group records together from different sources or possibly even from a similar source, but records that just wouldn't be searchable on the particular subject or topic matter of your interest without that tag being added to it. For example, I might have an interest in gardening. And if I take a look at this record here, this is Erskineville. This is a record from the school photographic series. And it is titled Erskineville Public School Schoolyard. If I click on that photograph, I can see that it is in fact a photograph of a group of mischievous looking schoolboys who are doing a bit of gardening. They've got hoes in their hand and they're clearly working, although in the schoolyard, they're gardening. However, I'd have no way to search in the catalogue on my particular interest of gardening and bring up that photograph. So that's a good opportunity for me to add a tag to that record so that I can find it again. So what I do is I go down to the bottom of the screen here, back to the tags area of the record, and I click on that pencil, add your own tags. And then you can see it's inviting me to enter the tag name. It's also prompting me with the name of a tag I've used previously. Now, I can't see any mustaches in that photo, so I'm not going to enter that here. However, if I type the tag gardening and click enter, you can see that that tag has been added to the record and that there's one record attached to it. And so what I'm going to do now is look for other records to attach to that tag. And I know that in this fantastic Department of Education photographic series, there are a number of photos of school gardens. And sometimes those photos are just of the garden, but sometimes those photos are also of students in the garden actually doing gardening work. So for example, this photograph of Chocola Public School garden is a good example. We can see here we've got a photograph of students in the garden gardening, having a lot of fun. So I'd like to add that tag to the tag as well so that I can bring this image up with the tag gardening. So it's prompting me with the tag that I've entered previously. And you can see if you look down the bottom of the screen there, so that gardening tag is now listed as having 2 records attached to it. One other thing that I also noticed in that photograph is that it had a lovely tree in the center of the photograph. So I'm also going to add it to the tree tag. And you can see that it's now been added to the tree tag, which has 14 records attached. And it really is straightforward. That's straightforward. How the ability to use tags and how you use them is truly only limited by your imagination. There are so many different ways that you can use this depending on your interests and also depending on the types of resources that you may wish to share with people. And it's also a great way to get community projects going. So for example, if you have a particular interest, for example, in the town of Orange, you could go through all the jail records and all the state rail personal employee history cards that relate to people who were either born in Orange or worked in Orange, and you could tag them up with the tag Orange and you'd be able to search for those. And so obviously that's a massive task, but if you had a group of people working on building that tag together, you'd come up with a great resource at the end of that. And so that brings us to the end of today's session, and I'll hand back over to Emily.